So I'm so excited tonight, and I'm very happy to have Simran Kaur, the founder of Power Woman, on our show today. And before I introduce Simran to all of you, I want to tell you why I wanted Simran on the platform and so badly. I've been trying to get her since a very long time, and I'm so thankful that she could take the time out from her busy schedule. So, how many of us have actually heard people tell us that you've hit the ceiling after you worked for around 10 years or 11 years in an organization? How many of us were questioned, when you were to have a baby or when you were planning a family or getting married? So we have Simran today, who is an inspiration to me, and I'm sure to a lot of other women, and who stands by what she preaches. She walks the talk. Let me introduce Simran in a brief to all of you. She is the founder of Power Woman, and she will talk to us about her journey and her secrets to success in the leadership role that she's in right now. From a corporate career in product development, innovation, and marketing in health and tech to an entrepreneur, mentoring women champions has been her passion. She has been the founder. She is also an ambassador at the Girls X Tech Advisor at Loyal VC and mentor at Founders Institute. She was the GCC's 50 Women Leaders in 2016, and she was also featured in the book Balance for Better, supported by UN. She has an MSc in Software Engineering from RWTH Germany and has spent half her career building and leading product development, primarily in health tech space. She is an MBA from INSEAD Alumni Association. No. Is an MBA from INSEAD and was a former president of the INSEAD Alumni Association UAE. She has worked across corporates and startups in Germany, Singapore, UAE, and taught as guest faculty at prestigious university. And I'm very intrigued to also tell you that she's a polyglot. Oh my God, that's something which I am so attracted to as well. And she is married and has two children. Basically, she is a Wonder Woman. So Simran, very happy to have you here. I'm fumbling in my words, but welcome to the platform.
Thank you so much, Hema. And I probably want to start by saying sorry for having taken so much time. Thank you for the opportunity and for the very kind introduction. I wanted to start first, really, I want to wish everyone out there, I know many of your listeners are based out of India. So my wishes for health and safety. I know situation in India right now has been very tense over the last few weeks. My parents are based there, my brother and his family is there. It's been very difficult time for so many of us. So wishes to everyone for a strong, both physical and mental health. Stay connected, and if you're feeling low, reach out. Reach out to people. Hema, thank you for the very kind words. I think you spoke pretty much, uh, and probably says how old I am, right? All these things that have been happening. So I grew up pretty much grew up in India. My parents are still based there from Calcutta. So one of my most favorite cities back home in India. And I was very fortunate that even in our younger days, that we were very, kind of, I would say, emphasis on academics and, how they see parents, right? So a lot of academics from parents, and they, of course, were a big influence, have been a big influence in my life. And so they moved to Calcutta in the 70s from a small town in North. And pretty much built the life from scratch. And so for them, it was very important that the children as well work hard and go and do something with their lives. And so after schooling, left home, which is many decades back. And if you say India is my birth country, then for my professional life, I would say Germany has been my second home, also very close to me. So I did my master's there and studied technology. And I'm really, really fortunate to have studied technology there because it is such an inspirational, place when you talk about product development and technology and R&D and innovation and quality. And yeah, free education. So it was wonderful if anyone's thinking of masters or bachelor's abroad. I studied there and spent some time doing research at the European Microsoft Innovation Center, and then joined, Siemens building products. And I was, very young, just my first career, and yeah, I wasn't thinking much about women in tech, or thinking that I was among the only one, few women or women of color who's building products there. You're just doing that when you're young. So yeah, that's how. And then after having spent good 7, 8 years there building products and leading product development, I said, maybe need to do a bit more, yeah, study further, as they say, why to do and join. So I went and did an MBA. And yeah, that kind of made me feel, let me just take more risks, let me try something else. And then I quit the corporate career then and joined a very early stage startup in Singapore. And then just life happened. Had my daughter, took a break, then moved to Middle East, then led marketing and market intelligence for another MNC. And now I'm doing, yeah, leading, I think, one of the most fun projects, Power Women. Yeah, that's me.
Amazing. You know, have you just realized that you so humbly put it? Now, when I looked at your journey, I really saw you punching the glass ceiling at every step. A woman of color in technology. My God, I mean that's rare for women to do that, and women to actually go on, leave her successful career in corporate and come and establish something which she's so passionate about, and then start something where you are getting all the women together to actually make them leaders. So, which is so amazing. So, Simran, first tell us about what is Power Woman and what do you all do, because a lot of our viewers who are viewing us may not know that. And then we would also like to know how and when did you make that jump, from a corporate safe culture to somewhere making leaders and generating women leaders out there.
So maybe I'll take the second question first. I think,
Okay.
like I said, when I started out, I was like 23, 24 years old. I didn't really think much about, and of course, you're so young out of school and fresh university. You're not, because luckily now we're speaking about it. You don't think about pay gap or is there a glass ceiling? No, I'd never thought about it. Just I want that, and I work hard, and I'll get it. And actually, as the career progressed, the mid-career, mid-senior, that's what actually I would say the shock of the 30s. It's you say, okay, is this the class? What just happened? Should this have happened? Sometimes you generally start thinking. And seriously, I of course came into the workforce, like many other guys. I got to myself, and I'm sure. You go into the workforce believing that the playing field is level. And unfortunately, if you look at the numbers and the statistics, that's not good. So yes, yeah, women in tech. I mean, in India there are many, right? So women in tech, women of color, you experience, right? And then there was a phase in my life, and I had just become a mother as well. So there was a phase in my life that I felt, okay, let me start reaching out to women like myself. Women also who are well experienced and have their workplaces. So I started reaching out. I actually started looking for organizations where, of course, I had my business school network or my corporate network, but I wanted really a network of women. And in those days, of course, more and more schools, universities are doing that. It didn't exist that strongly. So I started reaching out. I started looking at many organizations, and these few years back, there wasn't that much. There was a lot catering for, of course, entry level women or women in rural development, which is also very much needed. Then
Yeah.
I felt, okay, where do I fit in? Where do I find women like myself? So, yeah, it didn't exist. That was pretty much, to be honest, I joked sometimes. I said, if it would have existed, I would have joined it, right? So that's how it started. I said, okay, what? Then I started a small group. I started adding women that I knew. And I started adding their own friends or their colleagues. Just to hear stories and to support each other, to connect. And what was interesting was it just made me realize that I'm not the only one. right? When we spoke about it, whether you're thinking of career progression, being lonely at the top, very few at the tables, or if, whether you're single or you're married or you have kids, all sorts of challenges. So it was very eye opening for me, and it was also very, how would I say, strengthening for me as well, because from the community itself, I also gained a lot of strength. So, and many of us also were looking at giving back. You know, of course, everyone learns in their own journey, but sharing and talking to other younger women, which we have been doing. So that's how Power Women started. So we started as a community, and what we've now over the past few years learning what we've been learning. Now we move more towards a development platform, because what it is that we know that women who are mid-career or senior. So senior women, of course, there are very few at the tables. So you often don't get seats at the tables, or there's a saying, get your own chair if you don't get a seat at the table, right? What we are saying is, come build your tables, right? Let's build our own tables if there isn't space at the tables. And also mid senior, you see there's a huge trend. So, for example, in India, there are so many women who study technology, right, or finance. When you still see, especially technology, when you see very senior positions, they're not that high, or mid senior. So, what's happening mid senior, right? Many of them drop off. So that's what also we've launched a program, and I'll talk about it. So we've launched a development program, and we are promoting and supporting the women to accelerate, to grow both professionally and personally, right? So I also feel often you think that you take a course or take something and you will accelerate. I personally, my experience has been women's career is so much more, right? It's not just a professional development, there's just so much also personal baggage that you bring in. There's so much about our physical health, our mental health. So, all of it has to work together so that we can reach our full potential.
Yeah, true. So, Simran, just to take this question a little forward, what is it that Power Woman is now right now targeting at? If women out there are watching us and they want to get associated,
Yeah.
what should they do?
So we launched a few initiatives. We launched the first program that we launched was called Knock Knock. It was a project which is around creating, pushing more women towards boardrooms. And that was also a pretty big eye opener for me, because we were a big group of mid senior, very senior women. And I thought we just want to talk about the experience of women who've already been on the board. But we really had to start from bottom up. Many of us are not even thinking or aware. Whereas if I look at some of my classmates who men, they're already on board positions, right? And we all have equal skills, equal background and experience. Why are we not thinking about it? So we launched Project Knock Knock, where it was our first project where the whole idea was to create awareness and to give support so that more and more women, aim, aspire, and ultimately join board positions. So a lot has happened in that. We partnered with Founders Institute, which is a very well-known accelerator in the Silicon Valley. So we partnered with the branch here in the Middle East in GCC, and women from the community have been mentoring startups. We partner with a venture capital firm, Loyal VC, based out of Canada, and women from our community are now, mentoring and advising their startups. So that has been also, and we've done lots of talks, how to apply for boardroom jobs, or what you need to get into a boardroom. So this is like one of the gaps where we felt, we needed to do a bit of skill building awareness. The other thing that we've launched is called the Personal Advisory Boards, which is pretty much an accelerated program for professional and personal development. And that has come more or less from my own learning. We can build this whole large community, but to actually make it very effective, you need to have these small, groups of women who we call, your own advisory board. So this is, say, we club 6 to 7 women based on their experience, based on their skill set, based on their aspirations, and we club them together for a year, and we support them during this. So basically, all women come to us saying, "This is what I'm looking for," and it's a very balanced look. Career, of course, is one of the primary factors, but there's a lot about health and wellness. There's a lot about wanting to give back, making an impact. People are now thinking, "What is a legacy that I want to leave?" So we are building these boards where women are supporting each other. Uh, it's a big, not only an emotional support, but also, for example, I myself am on board. And there are such phenomenal women with me that, it's just eye-opening. Like, there's one lady who's so focused on what she wants, and she's so focused on upskilling herself that it's been very, very inspirational for me. So it's, literally the kind of the sisterhood that we want to build. But it's also a challenge network when they hold each other accountable. We hold each other. So it's much more easier. And it's also a very safe space. A safe space and a safe sounding board where you're okay talking about it, right? Topics that you might often we don't want to talk everything to our professional network or to family because there's always this thing about being judged or about getting advice which is not objective. So here, it's a safe space and nobody has any vested interest. We're just doing it to support each other. So this is a program that we're running, and yeah, I'm just looking to scale it now. And it's a pilot right now, and the feedback we are learning, and we're getting feedback, and it's just phenomenal to see. It just makes me happy when I get like, this has transformed me, or this has changed my life, or this has helped me in this way. It just makes you feel happy, and you know that these women are not going to drop out. That this lady tomorrow could be on the board of Fortune 500, or could be a CXO. And yeah, I'm just so proud of the whole community.
Yeah. This is a very important conversation. So, Simran, why do you think big companies are actually facing problems with diversity and with, including women for that matter, or diversity at a larger scale as well, not just limited to women, but gender bias, age bias, other aspects as well.
Yeah, I think unfortunately diversity has become such a topic, like more like a uh, let's give it to one person or give it to HR. It's or let's just I remember getting roses on the International Women's Day, but that's not weird. That's not what it is about. That one day let's have a party for the women in the office. It's it is a very core business topic. It's not. I think the organizations are losing out on a huge, tremendous economic opportunity. There are so many studies clearly say that if you have balanced teams, then you are much more profitable. I think the numbers are around a company that has diverse leadership has more 19% higher profit margins. So those are huge numbers that you can't ignore and say, let me just make it for a sustainability kind of report. Or let's just put some nice pictures. It is very much a core business strategic topic that you need to put it in your core strategic framework. And I think many organizations in the past haven't done that. And I'm glad actually now that that is changing because there is whole transformation. More women are working, more women are purchasing. Right, we are equal consumers. We make so many decisions. For example, like in households, you might decide where the children go to school or how the money is spent. Right, so you need to you look at women as consumers, and if you don't have women on your team, whether it's building product, whether it's doing sales and marketing, or whether in the corporate boardrooms, you're not going to understand your consumer as well. Right? And of course, studies show that if you have diverse teams, they are more creative. The youth doesn't want to work in organizations which are not diverse. Your brand doesn't have that high value. So there are so many things that make a difference, and I guess organizations now realize that. And so again, I think it has to be a core strategic business objective rather than it's not a CSR or reaching certain PR. Let's do International Women's Day. So again, and it's also good for men, right? It is not a women's problem. If you have balanced organizations, you have balanced homes. It is much better for everyone, right? You have much more income, right? You have much more balanced families. There is, when women are working, we want balanced households, right? So it is, the way, and it is not a men against women, women against men, right? It is something that we need to work at it together, and you can't do it something in isolation. So it has to be done together, and also men need to be aware that, of course, if they're only 2% or 5% or whatever, such single-digit number, then there is something systematically wrong, right? It is, it's gone are the days where you say we don't find the women. So I've often said to, when I had done something, find. There was this. We did this thing of we tied up with Asia Berlin Summit, and we said we will source speakers. Because sometimes people say, oh, for this, we don't have women on AI, or we don't have women who can speak on block. You tell me, I'm going to get you speakers. So this is just an excuse that they don't exist. We exist, right? Just make the effort. right? So yes, that's I think you need to look at it as a much more business objective than PR or CSR. I think that's change of mindset is needed.
Hmm. You're very right.
So,
A change
so,
of perception is something that will help us move towards the direction that we are looking at, really, before we can actually start anything else. So, Simran, tell me, you have a lot of experience with networking. Power Woman is all about network, and you are so networked. So, what is the kind of advice you would give a woman, who wants to build a network? Because in today's time, it's very important to be connected. You can't do things by yourself in solo.
mm, yeah, I think so. Of course, when I went to business school, we had all these coffee chats and networking and all. So I'm not a big fan of where you do this quick networking and then completely forget and then you just drop an email after a year and say, hey, can you help me, right? So I think if you really want to build meaningful networks, you need to invest time. Invest in these relationships, superficial networking, it's so easy nowadays with LinkedIn. Everyone can reach out. So do invest time. One thing that I often do is that even if I read an article, if I see something and I feel it might benefit somebody, I share it. Yeah. So it just it's just keeping in touch, giving also, not just taking. So it has to be kind of a balanced relationship. And yeah, don't only reach out when you need help. Keep the connections alive. And especially right now, right? Say, for example, with such difficult times you've had with COVID, reach out to people. I write so many emails also, even now, or even otherwise, often to people, just to stay in touch, ask how you're doing. So it takes energy, takes effort, and I can share a very very interesting. So right at the beginning of my career, I think I was 25, 26 years old. And or maybe in 26, and I was just feeling, oh, I need a mentor. I need a mentor. I was very lost in this organization, very hardly any women, and nobody women of color. And I was like, I need to talk to somebody, how I can channel or whatever. And I remember I dropped an email to very, very, very senior CEO at that level, and I said, hello, I'm this and this. Would you mentor? She's like a 300,000 people organization. And he replied, and I share this story often just to encourage people also. And I remember, it's just had such a deep impact on me. It's been like, I don't know how many years. And he called me and we had this, event with this resume of mine. I was super nervous. I had this visual CV, I'm from here, I did this, I did this. And then he was just listening. And he said, and I remember especially, he said, do you know why I called you? And I was like, yeah, sir, whatever. And then he was like, because in this organization of whatever, 200, 300,000 people, nobody ever sent me an email like that. So even for people at the senior, right? Often people are hesitant to ask,
Yeah.
right? And actually, he did mentor me for a bit. Like, till I was in the organization, he did mentor, he did support. And for me, it has been a very strong leadership lesson in my own book. That if somebody reaches out, just at least take the time or
Yeah.
give the time. And so yeah, there are people even right at the top, and he was a male leader, so very considerate, very empathetic, as with women who are starting out or men who are starting out. Reach out, ask, because what can happen worst is just you hear a no, which is okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, we nourish those relationships.
Totally. So I
Okay.
think what I pick up from this is network is about building relationships. It's not about just dropping an email and forgetting about it. And second is to ask, and maximum what will happen is people say no, you know. And Simran, you'll be surprised. I've written emails to Michelle Obama also to come on the channel.
So
My
nice.
friends laughed at it. Obviously, her team did respond back saying she's very busy and she won't be able to come down. But that was sweet of her team to actually respond back. So yeah,
No,
I
keep us
believe in
posted.
the. Tell me something else. Previously, you mentioned about personal advisory board. I wanted to elaborate a little bit. because not many of us may understand the concept of what is really a personal advice book.
Yeah, so what we are doing is that basically the program has four pillars. One is your growth. And the growth is not just professional, but also your personal growth. Then we look at networking, right? So you enhance your network, you build, and across your existing network, you enhance. The third thing that we look at is your well-being. Like I said earlier, for women, it's not just about, just career is very easy when you're just starting. So later on in life, women's health often takes, backseat because often, we don't go in for preventative checkups. Or if you become a mother, you have this whole stress of going back, or should I go back, should I not go back? Whatever it is, you get judged. So the whole mental plus physical health of women is the third pillar because health and well-being especially is so getting so relevant and so happy we are talking. So that is a third pillar. And the fourth one for us is giving back. Yeah. So giving back to whether it's younger women, to each other, that is very important. So these are the four pillars around which that we have built the program. And how the program runs is that you apply for it and we curate your board based on your experience, your skill set, your personality, right? So we try to combine introverts with extroverts. So the whole group is balanced. And lastly, what you want to do. What is your vision? Say in a year from now, where do you want to be? But what we do is that we help people in this whole process of growth, self-discovery, and getting to your goals within that year. And yeah, that's what it is all about. So we are curated with a group, and the group meets every once in 2 weeks, and we support externally by bringing in speakers. So we have now in June we are having two events. One we are having on mindfulness, so how to guided meditation on dealing with challenged emotions, which a lot of people go through. Right? So if whenever
Yeah.
you have difficult emotions to deal with, often whether it's at work, at home, or right now with COVID, how do you deal with that? So we have somebody very very renowned, Jeff Owens Institute coming and doing it. So we try and get very global and very senior people. And the second one we are doing is also with somebody very senior. She's going to talk about strategy for joining a board, and she's very senior. She basically trains people who are sitting on boards of Fortune 500 companies today. So she's going to talk about how to plan your journey, building a strategy, and if you're already on the board, how to plan your meetings, how to plan your days, what is needed. Like many women think, I need to know lots and lots already to, or even men, to be ready, board ready. And when you hear from people, EQ is very important. There are many other things that play a role. So yeah, and you can start small. You can start with a startup board. You need to aim straight at a Fortune 500. Just start early so that you can build that. If you're mentoring a startup today, tomorrow you get on board of an NGO, maybe then you know, can grow. So yeah, so this is what we do. So we run the structure program. A big part chunk of it is about the group that comes together, your own board, and we externally coach, mentor, support, getting speakers, and get you opportunities.
Okay, that's nice. So I have a question in the audience, and that was something which I was supposed to be asking you as well. So I read that in your previous interviews, you pointed out that diverse pool of talents, especially in leadership positions, can make a huge difference to overall society. And now, when you take a look at CEOs of boardrooms across the globe, where do you think we are? Are we on the right track? There is a similar question from an audience that why do you think there are less number of women, who reach that kind of level?
Yeah, I think see a lot of people say, "Oh no, this is an issue of talent," or "This doesn't exist." If you look at plain numbers, whether it is you look at a parliament, right? Look at our parliament in India. Look at some states. We know now there was this state where a woman in Kerala, right? She's done an awesome job, and now she's not in the government. Or you look at corporate boardrooms, the story is pretty much same across, right? And we so look at now Fortune 500 companies. There are what 39 or 40 women
Yeah.
CEOs. Now see that is even less than 10%. So something is seriously and systematically going wrong because the number of women that are graduating from universities is record numbers, right? The number of women going into the workforce at entry levels is also. And in India, you see, right, in tech, or in other fields, there are lots of young women. So what is
Yeah.
happening, right? So there is an issue whether it is now corporate organizations, right? That's what we say that it's not about fixing women, but it is really about fixing the organizations. So don't blame it and say that she didn't fit in. Or so often women are dropping out because they feel okay, I can't. You didn't get a promotion, or you didn't get the seat, or you couldn't manage it because there was no work from home or whatever, right? And organizations need to do more so that the women stay. They need to adapt, and so that they can also accelerate their career, right? Naturally, if you have 10 men and one woman at this table, in a CEO in a suite or in a boardroom, it is not a normal setting to be in, right? So it naturally makes it, how would I say, more uncomfortable and not natural. If you look at the startup scene, right, great happening in India, lots of
Yeah.
startups, but you see globally also the amount of funding that women entrepreneurs. It is such a
Yeah.
well-known, well-researched fact. There was this thing even we shared. So HBR did this research. It is the same pitch. It is the same set of slides being pitched, right? When I will pitch it, or when somebody else, a man will pitch it, it is very, very likely that the man will get the funding and I will not get the funding, right? So the whole pitch process at VCs is also very biased, and these are also VCs repeatedly say, right? Because again, where the money is, or where political power sits, where money sits, that's where a lot of decisions are made. And unfortunately, many of those positions, most of them are still predominantly held by men, right? And it is again nothing against men or women, right? It is just you need to make it balance, make it better. There is a whole economic discussion around it. And see, even in entrepreneurship now, the funding that was received by women, I think it was 2020, just 2% globally. Only 2%. So why is 98% of the funding going to male entrepreneurs? So either it is like they're like way too smarter than us, or there's something seriously going wrong, right?
Yeah.
And we have got more funding than all the women entrepreneurs combined in the entire globe. So, so something is seriously going wrong, right? So of course, I'm really happy that we are at least talking about it. We are trying to do. Organizations know that you cannot get away with it, right? So and in governance also there is a push. There is at least backlash. There is at least talk about this, and so there is awareness. And yeah, but it's not fast enough for sure. Uh, and I just hope that like I have a 8-year-old daughter, and when she grows, the playing field is level, and
Yeah.
we don't have these issues that we have today.
So, what you say is so interesting because, Simran, here I just want to add that it's never one way. So, if organizations and governances have some kind of biases, women stand up to that bias. So, how many times have women not negotiated a salary because they thought they were not worthy of that salary? Or how many times have they not stood up in a boardroom and voiced their opinion because there was some voice which was louder than theirs? So, in fact, I want to put in a question here which is very pertinent, especially when women move move to their family stage. When they want to become a mother, they want to have kids. There's always this notion that we'll have a setback in career. So, what is your advice to women who are planning to become mothers but want to still lead and be at the top positions and are aggressive in their career as well? I think
Now
we
I
have a
think
net
one, if you say, yeah, can you hear me now?
now. Yeah, she dropped off. We'll give her 2 minutes to log in again. So, for all the women who are watching us and men who are watching us, I know in our lifetime we've always faced a question. Put tell us your experiences in the comment as well. Here we have.
Yes, sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so one thing that comment you made, like if we haven't spoken enough. So one thing I want to say, it needs to be balanced. In a boardroom, if you're one and then there are 50 other men, naturally, right? So I do not know how it would be if it's one man and 49 women, right? So of course even we would be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I again I don't think we need to fix women. I don't like to blame women. I don't think
Yeah.
there's anything wrong with us. And this there was even a recent study from HBR which kept would you say women have imposter syndrome? Women no, it's not men also have imposter syndrome. So don't blame it on us. You fix what
Yeah.
needs to be fixed there, right?
Right.
In terms of, I think, yeah, motherhood, I think it's a highly over-glorified concept in some ways. You know, it's super mama, super superwoman with the kid. I mean, it's not fair, right? Firstly, it is giving birth is like physical. Again, taking nothing away from women who choose not to be mothers. I have loads of friends and colleagues, and I have perfect respect for them. But it is physically exhausting. It's emotionally draining. It's financially draining. Your career might take a hit. So last thing you need is to over glorify us, right? So actually, I think what's more important is that yeah, don't burden yourself. You don't need to show anyone you're a superwoman. It's a pretty very hard phase. So it's okay. So my only, I mean, it's not advice, but I can just share my 2 cents in terms of yeah, build your support network, involve your partner. It's two people responsible. And so one of the things when I had my daughter, I had a very an organization and a boss who was very good with this. I'd always worked. So this work from home was also very good from the beginning. I worked with European organizations where it's a very accepted thing. So I told from the beginning, my husband's gone the week, so I will work flexible. I'll work from home as long as my work is done. FaceTime should not matter. So I think I communicated that upfront. It was clear. The problem that was where my husband was working. So his organization, men also have children, right? Men also have wives who might also have careers. So it's not fair to them and it's not fair to their household. So I completely think that paternity leave should be shared, right? It should be equal. It's available, say, 6 months. Both should have the opportunity to take it. Why should the woman be taking it all? So a lot of things need to change their mindsets, whether at home, organizations. I don't think that it has to be only maternity leave. It should be parents' leave, and both should be given to the men and the women, right? Because it's a huge change in the family. Yeah, involve your partner. Take it easy on yourself. Again, this whole concept of putting women on a pedestal, that they are doing everything, so we are grateful. But actually,
Yeah.
why should we be doing everything, right? We have to share.
Actually. Yeah.
So, yeah, I really feel that this needs to change. And I think men need to step up, those who haven't stepped up already. And organizations need to step up. And again, I felt after my daughter, I needed time to stay home because I felt my body needed time. So, but that's again entirely your choice. You want to
Yeah.
do 3 months, you don't want to do, you want to do 6 months, you don't want to go back to work. I think they should not be judged whether they are going back to work, whether they choose not to go back to work, whether they want to accelerate their career in spite of having children. Well, why should it be in spite? Right? Men also accelerate their career. So I
Yeah.
think there's this whole thing of, oh my God, I actually had, when I my first, very, very long back, didn't have children, and I had an older colleague passing a comment, female colleague saying, this lady's come back to work after having children. And I didn't understand that, and I didn't have kids. But actually, it was so unfair, right,
Yeah.
to pass that. So I think we as women, or we as men as well, we should not judge, more supportive. And to women out there, take all the help you need. You literally don't need to be anyone's superhero, super mom, show anything. I think it's an extremely a stressful time. That's how it is. The pictures look wonderful. It's a wonderful experience, but the first few months are extremely exhausting, right? And so if you have the help, take it. And yeah, that's all I would say.
So, Simran, tell us, we always hear that you can't have it all. If you're working and if you're at a high position, you have to sacrifice at the family level or vice versa. What's your take on it? Is there like a work-life balance for successful women, or they have to make sacrifices in some area. What is that sacrifice they're looking at?
Yeah, this having it all is always such a tricky question. And I think the first thing is how do you define what is all for you, right? That's one of the things that we are actually doing with personal advisory board. Key things is to reflect back at what your life has been and what truly matters to you. How do you define your life? What will make you happy, right? And what legacy do you want to leave? And I think once that is clear to you, what all means for you, then go for it. Having said that, of course, it is much more complicated for us. And I think one of the biggest decisions, the most important decisions, if we choose to have a partner, is who our partner is going to be. Right? So I feel, when you choose your spouse or your life partner, I think that's one of the biggest things. And I think
Yeah.
studies show, right? So it impacts women's careers more than it impacts men's career, right? Who they marry or who they choose to be with. So yeah, there I would say just make the right choice and plan and pace your careers. Right? So there were moments in my career where I felt okay, I've missed the boat. It's over for me. I could have done so much more. And especially when you just have a child and you slow down or for any reason, maybe you had a health emergency. Many I know who had health crises in their lives and they slowed down because they needed to or had something in their family, and then you feel, oh my God, it's over for me, right? I think we are working so much longer now, right? So many years longer. We have so many more decades left in our careers, and so why is it finished at 30s? Why not at 40s? Why not at 50s? So I think women's careers might peak differently. So pace and plan ahead, and don't burn yourself out. Just stay focused. We had this very nice talk from Ms. Sindhu Gangadharan. She's the CEO of SAP Labs
Yeah.
India, and she spoke about this crystal balls and how do you balance when you have crystal balls and you have rubber balls. And she said, you decide which are the crystal ones and which are rubber ones. And let the rubber ones drop. Just make sure the crystal ones don't drop. So
Yeah.
prioritize what is important. One thing that I also feel, because careers are becoming so really long now, is upskill yourself. The digital age, so much is changing, especially if you've had a break. So upskill yourself, invest in yourself. I think that's one thing we really encourage in the PABS. I mean, more than in anything, invest in yourself, whether it's a course or a program or just taking time out, me time. Give it to yourself. You deserve it. So skill building, networking, give that to yourself. And I think with COVID, in some ways, Zoom has been fantastic for us because often we've not been able to. Many women, somebody told me in one of the sessions that she worked, with all male partners and she was the only female partner. She said all the networking sessions happened at 8 p.m., 9 p.m., and I had small kids. And I couldn't go very often because it was their bedtime or their school time or whatever. And she said COVID's been a blessing for me in some ways because everything's gone online, right? So yeah, upskill yourself, build your support network, and find the right people, work for right organizations. Too much. I'll pause.
No, I think that's nice. And Simran, you know what? Now I've been doing these live sessions since almost a year now, and I've had international faculty people coming and talking. Somewhere I've realized, these issues are not limited to a country. Because women all across resonate similar feelings, similar issues, similar problems. So I think it's so important to have a network like how you have. By the way, I am a part of the network as well, and I would want to appeal to other women who are watching us that please reach out and join the network. It's really nice, inclusive. You get to connect and learn a lot. So thank you so much for that. I want to ask you this very pertinent question as a last message to our audiences. What will be your three piece of advices that you want to give them? And I want to add here one more thing. I wanted to give one piece of advice to all those men. You know, we are so busy making women ready, and we have this whole empowered lot which men can't handle. So, what is that one advice to the men who are getting ready for this empowered woman as well? So, three for the women and one for the men.
Hmm. Nice. So I think for women, some of it I said already. I think the shock of the 30s, I would say, is pretty real. And I hope it just goes away. And I felt literally it was for me only, and more I've spoken to other women. And it resonates with everyone. The shock of the 30s is real. Prepare for it. Face it well. Don't let it, that's why you are mid-career often women drop out. So don't let it make you feel low or feel that it's gone or demotivated. So pace yourself, and there is a lot of potential in you. So even beyond it, 30s, beyond it, ageism is a big topic, right? So women, working longer. So don't let anything demotivate you. Uh, yeah, I think the other thing is the whole thing about we have imposter syndrome, or we don't find them, or something is wrong with us, or we don't stand up enough, or we have self doubt. So I think let no one put that in your head. It is nothing to do with us. We don't need to fix anything with women. What needs to
My,
fix is the organizations. What needs to fix is household. What needs to fix is societies. And the transformation is happening now, and everybody's, these entities are not prepared, many of them, right? This whole major transformation of women going out, access to digital, working, accelerating, demanding, right? That we want equality. So these need to change. And I think, yeah, invest in yourself would be my third advice. Keep building yourself, whether it's via course, joining networks, joining programs. Do not hesitate, taking out any time. Invest in yourself. Um, I think for the men, I would just say this whole thing. And people often say, I'm not a feminist, yeah, men and women. See,
yeah,
feminism is nothing but just saying that you believe, not physically or physiologically, but you believe that we have equal rights, right? As human beings. And if you believe that, if you are like a decent human being and you believe that men and women should have access to equal education, equal opportunities, then you are a feminist, right? So to the men out there, it is nothing. It's not a women's led only movement or anything. What we are just saying is that we want to have equal opportunities, and it is good for men and women. Right? If your wives are going out and also accelerating in their careers, or your colleagues are doing well, you will build better products. You will have better services. If your team subordinates or or boss is doing well, female boss or whatever, right? It is good for everyone. It is good for organizations, clearly shown you build better products, higher profitability, households, right? Income goes up. Look at countries. We keep on giving examples of New Zealand or South Korea or Germany or in Kerala, where we have seen that women-led countries or communities or societies have done much better than many of the male-led countries, right? So why don't you want to be led? So if there are, basically there are 10 people in the room, do you want the gender to decide it, or do you want to have the most able person, right, get the job and make it better for everyone?
yeah,
So yeah, to the men is there's nothing to be afraid of, and we are equal partners, and we need you, right? Because sitting alone and in rooms talking about diversity on International Women's Day is
yeah,
not going to help us bring about change. So I think a big thing here is to educate the men that the organizations need to know. Because I remember many years back, I was at an event, diversity event, and there was just one man there, and he had actually come by mistake. So I was very happy to see him, and I went and spoke to him, and he said, "Oh, I didn't know." And then we had and he was from one of these Ivy League universities doing really well. And we had an open conversation, and he tells me this is there is no issue. There is no pay gap issue, or there is no issue. So you need to educate the men that this is the problem, yeah, and why it is good for them as well. And maybe tomorrow, if you have your daughters, You don't want them to go through that. So yeah, just
Exactly.
that's my message. So to men, support your female colleagues, support the women at home, support the women in your team, support the women bosses that you have. And in governance, I'm a big fan of women in politics. Support your women legislators, and we've seen that men have gone, for mandates. They have gone and voted out in large numbers for women, both back home and elsewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's make this next decade about good organizations, good household, equal opportunities, and happy societies, right? Because that is the only way we can make it
Yeah.
more happy and prosperous.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Simran. And I have my key takeaways from this. Upskill myself, negotiate, network with people, and of course, for me, as an additional one, when I'm choosing my partner, I will make sure that the aspects you mentioned, he has all of that. So thank you so much for coming on the platform. It was really valuable. And I want to thank all those people who are live right now and who will watch us live on the replay later. Please reach out, join Power Women community. Is it open for men as well, or is it only a all women community? Let's make
So the
that
event,
clear.
yeah. So the events that we do, we often so they are mostly open for men, which are open
Okay,
events. They're open for men and women. And we had recently an event on investing in venture capital, and we had, I would say, 50-50 turnout.
amazing, amazing. So, and y'all are present on Facebook. Y'all have a website. Y'all are on LinkedIn. Anywhere else that I'm missing out?
We have an Instagram page as well where we share
Instagram.
updates. And yeah, our website is powerwomen.world. And you can drop us an email at hello@powerwomen.world.
Thank you
Thank
so much.
you. Thank you, Dr. Hema, for really giving me the opportunity and spending so much time.
Oh my God, the pleasure's all mine. It was such a pleasure and an honor to have you on the platform. I'm sure many of us want to develop into something like what you've come out to. And like I read once, that leadership is not about wanting people to follow you, it's about creating new leaders. So that's what I see in you as well. Thank you so much for what you're doing for the community.
Thank you so much, Hema. And everyone take care and stay safe and sending lots of
Yeah.
wishes. Ciao, ciao.
So lots of wishes to you all, guys. If you're watching us for the first time, the channel is called Lose Your Blues, as in lose your stress, and we will see you again next week with a new guest. Thank you so much.
Ciao, ciao. Thank you, Hema.